Today we're gonna upgrade the brakes, but first we're gonna test what's already on the car. Let's get started. I'll be doing 3 stops from 60 miles an hour to 0. And when I stop, I'll be pushing the brake pedal and the clutch all the way down. That way we don't get any engine braking. Once we have all 3 results, I'll average them together. And then after the new brakes are installed, we'll do the same thing. I'm excited to show y'all what I got going on. Here's some GT500 rotors from R1 Concepts. A couple of remanufactured brake calipers from Rock Auto for the GT500. And then I've got some R1 Concepts brake pads to go along with it. GT500 dust shields. And a Steeda stainless steel brake line kit. I'm real excited. I want to go over all the pricing for this stuff. You can do it for really cheap. It's a lot cheaper than a big brake kit, and we're gonna test it, make sure it still performs. So I told you I'd go over the pricing. Here it is. The total I spent was around $800. I got the calipers from Rock Auto. I did not get the core exchange on that, so I probably could have got another $70 off on that. I couldn't find any in the local hardware store or parts stores, so I had to pay shipping, so that's a little bit inflated if you can find them in stock. The rotors and pads I got from R1 Concepts. I went with pretty much their most expensive rotor. It's got the Geomet coating with the slots and it's drilled out. You could probably get just front rotors for around and pads for around $150. I got the dust shields from Late Model Restoration, and then I got the stainless steel brake lines from Steeda. But yeah, if you wanted to do this really cheap, you could ditch both of those items. Again, rotors just for the front and pads, $150 probably, and then the calipers you could probably get for reasonably around $100 or $200. So I think it's realistic that you could do this for $350 or so if you desired. I kind of wanted to include everything that's included in a big brake kit, and those typically run around $4,000. So as you can see, I saved a lot of money. Okay, I got the wheel off, so I'm gonna start taking this caliper off and the rotor. Thing looks ugly, doesn't it? Caliper's just held on down here with this bolt, and there's one on the bottom down there. You can see it. And then you also have these bolts right here holding the caliper to the bracket. This is the dust shield that we're replacing. You can see how it's held on by 3 bolts. The new one is this little thing, and it's supposed to help with heat dissipation and protect the tie rod end. And I'll show you how it's going to do that in a second, but that's how it'll bolt up right there. installed. Makes it look empty back there. You can see how it'll kind of protect the tie rod end from heat. That's really the only reason it's even there. Here's the two rotors side by side. The old Stock Tech power stop rotor, not sure which. Then I've got this R1 Concepts geomat coated something rotor. It's supposed to hold up better to rust and things, so we'll see. A whole lot bigger. This is the big beefy GT500 brake caliper. It's a little bit different in its design. It's got 4 pistons, and then it's just a direct bolt on with no bracket, so that makes installation pretty easy. Ford made it really easy, or Brembo, one of the two made it really easy to put these brake pads in. You've got these holes right here, and I'll show you how they get secured, but you just slide them in there. This little metal tab, if anyone's wondering, is just the wear indicator. It doesn't matter if you put it on the front or the rear, but if you ever make it that far, you might want it on the rear just so it doesn't tear up the front side of your rotor. So this is an interesting little bracket. These angles are pointed towards the rotor. And you just put the lip underneath. And you want to bend it down. So just like that. And you got your hardware installed. Next, I'm going to upgrade the brake line. So it's hanging onto the caliper down there right now. But you just have to loosen it up from down there. And you gotta pull it out right here. This twists up and pulls out, and this just comes down after you unscrew this bolt right here. There's a few little clips that it's hanging on to, like right here and right here. And then I think I've got it zip tied on the back of this strut. You just want to get rid of all that. The idea is to kind of move fast so you don't lose a lot of brake fluid. I've got plenty to replace it with, so I'm not that concerned. So here we go. So, what you saw me doing before, I was just screwing this in down here. I couldn't get it in the shot, but that's just the end of the brake line attaching to the caliper. Now up here, you just tighten these two down together. That's all you do. The trick is trying to get this to reach right here. So I'm not gonna make you watch me struggle with this, but here's kind of what you do. You clamp the blue part of the brake line, push that together, and then you put this screw through. And the idea is to put it on the front side. So we'll have to bend this hard brake line a little bit. It'll probably be coming out of this little clip. And again, I'm not gonna make you watch, but that's what you're doing. And then after that, I'm pretty much set. I will zip tie this silver piece up to the back of the strut here. That way it's fairly secure. The reason this strut doesn't have a little clamp and a bolt is because these are aftermarket struts. They didn't come with the clamps for some reason. So, no big deal. There it is, completely installed. The only thing left to do is bleed the brakes, which I will do a little bit later. There you can see I managed to get that up there, and it stayed in the bracket there. And then there's where I zip tied it. The rear of these cars is a little bit different. First I'm gonna take these out, which will free the caliper, and then I'll take off the bracket. Okay, I got the new rotor on there and put the bracket back on. Now for those of you who haven't done a rear brake job on your car, they're really not that hard. You should have some brackets like this, and normally brake pads come with them. My R1 Concept brake pads did not come with the brackets. I think they gave me an option to buy them and I didn't, thinking they would come with them. But they just go on there on the bracket like this. These kind of prevent noise. You always try to make sure those are installed correctly. That one's gonna need the brake pad to keep up there. There they are installed. I got the brake pad on there to keep that piece up there. I'm putting this rear one, or I'm putting this one on the rear because it's got the wear indicator on it. All that does is make a bunch of noise when you get low on pads. So I'm gonna put this on there and then I'll reinstall the caliper and then we can get to the brake lines. Before you can reinstall the brake caliper, you have to spin it back down if you have one of these S197s. So what you do, I find the easiest thing to do is rent a tool from your auto parts store. It looks like this. And you just have to find the right fitting. This kind of comes off of there. You find the right fitting, then you can twist it back, twist the piston back down, and you'll be good to go. Got the caliper installed here. So what's left is the brake line. It attaches right here. So I just have to loosen that up. I have to take this off. And the kit from Steeda comes with pretty much the same bracket that this is right here. So you just have to pull that out and it's the same process as on the front. You loosen that, it comes down, and then you can pull it all out. So I got that brake line installed for the most part. Everything's tightened down. The kit came with they came with 4 of these actually. I wasn't really sure what to do with it. They didn't come with any instructions. I couldn't find anything online about it. But this wiggles around, and so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this right here, which is gonna put pressure on everything and stabilize it. So that's how I'm gonna handle it. Let me know in the comments how you think this should be done. Now that everything's installed, I gotta bleed the brakes. I got this little kit from Advanced Auto, about 10 bucks, and I'll show you how it works. First off, when you bleed the brakes, you bleed them from the furthest caliber away from the ABS module, which in these cars is right underneath the air box. You can use the master cylinder kind of as a guide too if you don't have ABS. So in my car, it's the right rear. And then I go left rear, right front, left front. Now these front calipers have two bleeders on the outside and the inside. You bleed the one on the outside first, then you bleed the one on the inside. With this kit, you want to put a little bit of fresh brake fluid in there. That way if the caliper wants to suck any, it sucks in fluid and not air. The whole point is trying to get air out of the system. Alright, here you can see I put it on here. So first you gotta crack the bleeder valve open. Just crack it, you don't want to unscrew it too much or it'll start coming out of the threads. So what I want to do now is get in the car and pump the brakes, and then I'm going to come out here and check. And once there's no air in this line, this one will be good to go. While you're bleeding the brakes, you want to make sure that this doesn't run too low on brake fluid. So just keep that in mind when you're doing this. It's been a couple of weeks since I completed the install. I wanted to make sure these brakes were properly broken in. That geomet coating is kind of on there pretty good. Wanted to make sure all that was rubbed off. Let's go find out how well they perform. Okay, here are the two tests side by side. You can see where I averaged about 21 feet less on the new setup, which is good. But I think the biggest thing is the fade. You can see right here where maybe the brakes were warming up a little bit or something. It stopped really good on the third one. So I didn't have any fade on the new setup. And whereas the previous setup, I could tell, I could really feel in the car that the brakes were already getting tired after even the first run. And I'm surprised that run 3 was only 2 feet shorter than run 2, because that particular one felt like it was really taking a long time to slow down. So it's interesting. I think that obviously the new setup might be a whole lot better on the track, considering it doesn't seem to fade. It seems to work a little better with some heat in them. So just a little disclaimer, I didn't have any heat in the brakes either time. Essentially like you're doing a daily drive somewhere. This is real world performance as soon as you leave your house, pretty much. So the brakes are definitely worth it. I mean, the car definitely feels like it's stopping a lot better. So I'm pleased. So I think that'll do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, those of you that watched the whole thing, and y'all stick around for next time.